Okay, so you guys have been asking about the Dania catastrophe that hit Valencia, Spain.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of folks are curious about what really went down there.
Right. And maybe some deeper implications, too. So we've gathered some really fascinating firsthand accounts.
Oh, and some pretty out there esoteric analyses, too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So let's dive in and see what we can uncover. What do you say?
sounds like a plan. It's definitely got people talking, that's for sure.
Yeah, for real. So we'll be looking at what folks who claim to have some esoteric knowledge are saying, plus how the media is handling it, and even how authorities are responding. But get this.
What's that?
Some sources suggest Danny might not have been entirely natural, like maybe a test run or even a warning.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a sec. What is Dana exactly, for those of us who don't speak Spanish meteorology?
Oh, yeah, good point. DANA stands for Depression Aislada en Niveles Altos,
Which means?
isolated depression at high levels. It's a weather system known for causing torrential rains and flooding.
Mm.
But like I said, some sources think it might have been influenced.
Influenced. Interesting. So, torrential rain, flooding, Spain. But maybe not just Mother Nature doing her thing. That's where things get interesting.
Exactly. One of the sources we've got is this YouTube channel, IT Grifasi Investigations Italiano.
Okay, and
Well, the host, Grifasi, is doing some deep investigations using hypnosis.
whoa, okay. Hypnosis.
Hmm.
Interesting tool for sure, but I'm always a little skeptical.
Oh, totally. But these unconventional perspectives can sometimes reveal patterns and connections we might otherwise miss.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes you need to think outside the box, right?
Exactly. So two people Grifasi interviewed were Severio and Lily. They both underwent hypnosis and were asked about DNA.
Alice, they say.
Severio claims that DNA wasn't a naturally occurring depression, but like a focused, targeted event. He even describes a satellite beaming a signal to this dome-shaped antenna.
A dome-shaped antenna? What, like a giant satellite dish?
Yeah, something like that. And he says the antenna absorbed the heat from the signal and somehow triggered a reaction in the Earth's tectonic plates.
Whoa, hold on. That's a pretty big claim. Triggered a reaction in the Earth's tectonic plates. How would that even work?
I know, right? It's wild. Now, Lily, she backs up Severio's claims, but she adds that the cause was something she calls centrifugal energy.
Centrifugal energy. Never heard of it.
Me neither. She compares it to the energy used in the CERN particle accelerator.
CERN. You mean like the Large Hadron Collider?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she claims this centrifugal energy can actually alter time and space.
Alter time and space. Okay, now that's just crazy talk.
I know, right? But it gets even weirder. Lily claims this type of energy can actually create portals.
Portals, like to other dimensions.
Yeah. And she says some people were even displaced from their physical bodies because of it.
Displaced from their bodies. What does that even mean? Are we talking out-of-body experiences, astral projection, what?
That's what it sounds like. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Okay, so we've got Severio and Lily with their wild theories. Anyone else have anything to add to this?
Oh, there's more, for sure. We've got Alvaro, who, under hypnosis, described this entity that looked like a mummy.
A mummy. Like an Egyptian mummy.
Yeah, but with advanced tech implanted in it. It's wild. Apparently, this entity told Alvaro that they were experimenting with weather manipulation, creating artificial natural disasters.
Artificial natural disasters. What's the point of that?
Control, apparently, just to show off their power.
Yikes, that's pretty ominous. Talk about a power trip, like something straight out of a Bond villain's playbook, you know?
Right. It's a bit unsettling to think about.
So it's all doom and gloom then? No positive spins on this whole DNA thing?
Well, not everyone sees it that way. We've got Miriam, who actually had a more optimistic take.
Oh, really? What did she say?
Even though she acknowledged the devastation, she emphasized a collective awakening that she believes is happening. Despite the chaos, people helping each other, showing resilience. She sees it as a powerful rejection of those manipulative forces.
I like that. A bit of hope amidst all the craziness.
Right. But not everyone was as optimistic, of course. Claudia, another person who was hypnotized, described this thing called a white network.
A white network? What's that?
She says it's this network of artificial intelligence, blocking people's senses and making rescue efforts harder.
Blocking people's senses? Like how?
She didn't go to specifics, but it's a creepy thought, right?
Oh.
She even linked this network to a larger agenda of control and suffering.
So we've got these hidden forces manipulating the weather, controlling our minds, and making things worse for everyone. What's next?
Actually, speaking of manipulation, this is where things get really interesting. There's this Netflix series called Respira.
Respira, never heard of it.
It means breathless in English. Anyway, episode 8 which aired on August 30th, 2023, depicts these floods that are eerily similar to the DNA catastrophe.
Whoa, are you serious? Floods just like DNA. That's a crazy coincidence.
Right, like a premonition or something. But here's the kicker. Our sources have some interesting interpretations of this.
Oh, I bet they do. Lay it on me.
Lily thinks it was a filtration of alerts, like a subtle warning from beings who can't directly interfere.
Interesting. So like a coded message.
Exactly. Then we have Miriam, who thinks it's a subliminal message to show how easily we're controlled by stories.
Ooh, I like that. Makes you think, right?
Right. And then there's Elena, who calls the series a distractor, meant to keep us from seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, so we've got warnings, subliminal messages, distractions. It's like everyone's got their own theory. What about the media and all this? How are they covering DNA?
Well, that's where things get a little more down to earth, maybe. The sources suggest the media is downplaying the severity and controlling the narrative.
Really? Intentionally?
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
Some think it's deliberate, others say it's unintentional. Either way, the result is the same.
Yeah. So not just minimizing the disaster, but shaping how we think about it.
Right, and this idea of sacrifice and population control being part of a larger plan also comes up. It's a dark concept, but one that can't be ignored, especially with everything else we're seeing here.
Yeah. That's pretty heavy stuff. It's like this event is bringing up all sorts of uncomfortable questions about who's really in control.
Exactly. So how are people responding to all of this?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. There's a stark contrast between the perceived inaction and manipulation of authorities and the spontaneous acts of kindness and support from everyday people.
That makes sense, like two different realities playing out side by side.
Yeah, exactly. On one hand, you've got the official narrative of control, and on the other, the organic response of human compassion. It's fascinating, really.
And a little bit hopeful too, right? Even amidst all the strangeness.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of strange, we haven't even touched on this white threads thing that keeps popping up.
Oh yeah, the white threads. That's a whole other rabbit hole we need to go down.
Well, lead the way. I'm ready for more.
Let's do it.
Before we got into the media and all that, you mentioned white threads, didn't we?
Oh, right. The white threads. It's like this recurring thing in the accounts.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? What are these white threads?
So according to these accounts, they're invisible to the naked eye.
Invisible, so like some kind of energy field.
Yeah, more like an energetic or informational network, almost.
Yeah.
Woven into, like, the fabric of reality itself.
Okay, hold on. So these invisible threads are woven into reality. That's a bit out there, don't you think?
I know. But stick with me. These accounts suggest that, well, powerful entities are controlling these threads.
Entities, like aliens, or interdimensional beings or something.
Who knows? The sources are a little vague on that point. But the idea is that these beings are using the white threads to manipulate events, control information, limit human consciousness, all that.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like a giant spider web. These entities are pulling the strings and we're the flies.
That's one way to put it. It's a pretty unsettling thought, right?
It's a bit creepy, yeah. Like, how would we even know if it's happening? If these threads are invisible and all.
Exactly. That's the scary part. We might not even know we're being influenced.
Okay, but this is all getting a little too sci-fi for me. We're talking satellites, antennas, particle accelerators, and now invisible threads controlling reality. Come on.
I know. It sounds crazy, but that's what these accounts are saying.
So it's all tech then, just machines controlling us.
Well, not just machines. Some sources talk about psychic technologies.
Psychic technologies? What the heck is that supposed to mean?
Things that can manipulate emotions, plant thoughts, even control people's actions from a distance.
Seriously? Come on, that's just ridiculous.
I know it sounds far-fetched, but some people believe this stuff is real.
Okay, even if we entertain this idea, let's just say, for argument's sake, that psychic technology ISS real. Isn't that, like, ethically problematic?
Oh, absolutely. Who's to say it's being used for good? That's a huge concern.
Right. It's like opening Pandora's box. Once you start messing with people's minds, where do you draw the line?
Exactly. But even setting aside the ethical stuff for a second, the sheer possibility of these technologies existing is pretty mind-blowing, don't you think? Challenges everything we think we know about science and spirituality.
It's definitely food for thought, that's for sure. So we've got these powerful entities, advanced technologies, a network of white threads influencing our reality. It's kind of overwhelming, you know? It makes you feel so powerless.
I hear ya. It can feel like we're just pawns in some cosmic game. But remember, these accounts also talk about human resilience and the power of collective consciousness.
True. We're not just passive puppets, right?
Exactly. We have the potential to resist, to break free from the manipulation.
Okay, but HOW, what can we actually do about any of this?
Well, awareness is a big part of it. Just by becoming aware of these forces, we weaken their hold on us, apparently.
So shining a light on the darkness kind of thing.
Exactly. By talking about it, by engaging with these ideas, we're empowering ourselves to see beyond the surface level stuff, the official narratives.
Makes sense. It's like taking back control, right?
Exactly. It's about reclaiming our agency, recognizing that we have a role to play in shaping our own reality, and not giving in to fear.
Easier said than done sometimes, though, right? Especially when you've got all this talk about Deanna being a test or something.
Yeah, a test. That's another recurring theme. But a test of what, exactly? And who or what is conducting this test?
Some say it's a test of human resilience to see how we react to adversity. Others think it's like a cosmic wake-up call, a test of our collective consciousness. And then there's the idea that these other beings are behind it, maybe assessing our technological capabilities or spiritual evolution or something.
Like humanity is being put through some cosmic exam. And these catastrophic events are the pop quizzes. Yikes.
What happens if we fail, though? That's the question.
Good question. But maybe the more important question is, what was the lesson supposed to be? What were we supposed to learn from DNA?
Right, because if it was a warning, as some suggest, what are they warning us about? What's the message?
Well, some warn about ecological disaster, the consequences of ignoring the planet. Others point to technological overreach, the dangers of science going too far. And then there are those who highlight spiritual decline, like we're losing touch with our higher selves and each other.
So, lots of different warnings, but all pointing to a need for change.
It's like we're being given a chance to wake up and shift direction before it's too late.
Okay, but that's a pretty tall order. How do we even begin to address these huge, complex issues? Especially with all this talk about forces beyond our control being at play.
It can definitely feel overwhelming, but that's where discernment comes in, I think.
Discernment, what do you mean?
Like learning to distinguish between information that resonates with our inner truth and information that feels manipulative or fear-based. It's about cultivating a healthy skepticism, questioning everything, and trusting our intuition to guide us toward what feels right.
Okay, so we're talking about developing our own inner compass, basically, so we can navigate this crazy landscape of information and interpretations.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're not alone in this. We're all facing these challenges and searching for answers together.
Right, community is key. We've got to support each other, share our experiences, our insights, and build resilience together.
Speaking of shared experiences, what about the global impact of all this, the ripple effects,
Well, a lot of the sources we're looking at suggest that the DNA event and other similar events are part of a global awakening.
A global awakening, you mean like a shift in consciousness?
Yeah, exactly. They're shaking things up, challenging old paradigms, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world.
So it's not just about what happened in Valencia, but about a larger shift that's happening all over the world.
Exactly. It's like the planet itself is going through a transformation, and these events are part of that process.
Whoa. Okay. So we're all being shaken awake, forced to confront the reality of our situation and make a choice about the future. That's a lot to process.
It is. But even if we don't fully understand all the esoteric stuff, the white threads and the other beings and all that, we can still learn from the messages they convey. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about extracting the deeper meaning, even if we don't take it all literally.
Exactly. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding the patterns, connecting the dots, and recognizing that we're not just passive observers in all this. We have a role to play, a choice to make.
A choice between fear and manipulation, or
stepping into our power as conscious co-creators of reality. It's a big choice, but an important one.
Okay, before we get too deep into existential territory, there's still that one loose end, the Netflix series, Respira.
Oh, right. The predictive programming thing?
What do the sources make of that uncanny coincidence?
Well, it's a mixed bag. Some see it as a precognitive warning, others as deliberate manipulation of consciousness.
Like they're trying to normalize these catastrophic events, make them seem inevitable so we don't resist.
It's possible. Or maybe it's more about psychological conditioning, planting seeds of fear and acceptance.
So we just accept whatever happens, no questions asked.
It's a scary thought, right? But that's why awareness is so important. Once you see the patterns, you can start to break free.
So it's not just about what happened in Valencia, but about how it's being presented to us.
Exactly. We need to be more media literate, more discerning, question the narratives we're being fed, and seek out alternative perspectives.
Because we're living in a world of illusions and we need to see through the smoke and mirrors, right?
That's a good way to put it. It's not easy, but it's essential if we want to break free from these cycles of fear and manipulation.
Which brings us back to that theme of fear and anxiety that permeates these accounts.
Yeah, fear is a powerful weapon. It keeps us divided, distracted, and disempowered.
But remember, these accounts also talk about hope, resilience, the power of human connection.
Right. We need to focus on those things, cultivate those qualities within ourselves and our communities.
Because ultimately, we do have a choice. We can choose love over fear. And together, we can create a better future.
Absolutely, and that's a message worth spreading. Choose hope, choose love, choose empowerment.
Let's take a moment to really let that sink in.
Yeah, take a deep breath, everyone. Connect with your inner knowing. Trust your wisdom and strength.
You've got this. We're all in this together, exploring these uncharted waters.
And remember, the journey of discovery never ends. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep exploring the mysteries of the universe, both within and without.
And we'll be right here with you, diving deep into the unknown. See you next time for part 3. Okay, so we've spent the last 2 parts of our deep dive really getting into the DAA event in Valencia and all these pretty wild esoteric interpretations.
It's a lot, right? AI networks, interdimensional beings, humanity as part of some cosmic experiment. It definitely makes you think.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, it can be kind of overwhelming.
Absolutely. I think it's important to take a step back for a second and talk about how we actually make sense of all this, because it would be easy to just spin out and get lost in all this speculation and what ifs.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like, where do you even draw the line between what's a possible interpretation and what's just, plain crazy talk?
Right. I mean, we need to remember that these are just interpretations, not necessarily the absolute truth. There are different lenses to view these events through, but they don't have all the answers.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in thinking there's only one right answer, one right way to look at things.
Exactly. And I think that's where critical thinking comes in. We can't just accept everything we hear at face value, even if it sounds convincing or aligns with our existing beliefs.
Right. We need to be willing to question things, look at them from different angles, trust our gut.
Exactly. And remember, even within these esoteric interpretations, there's a spectrum, right? Some lean toward fear and doom, while others are more about empowerment and growth.
So, like with anything else, there's good information and bad information out there. It's about developing that inner compass, that sense of discernment.
Couldn't agree more. And being aware of our own biases, too. We all have them, and it's so easy to just gravitate toward information that confirms what we already think, even if it might not be accurate.
That's so true. It's like, how do we break free from those limiting beliefs, especially when we're dealing with such unconventional ideas?
Well, for me, self-awareness is key. Pay attention to how you're feeling as you process all of this. If it's triggering a lot of anxiety or fear or just straight up overwhelm, that might be a sign that the narrative you're buying into isn't actually serving you.
Yeah, I get that. Like checking in with yourself and asking, does this feel right? Is this resonating with my truth or just fueling my anxieties?
Exactly. And it's also about approaching all of this with curiosity and wonder instead of judgment or fear. See these esoteric interpretations as opportunities to expand your awareness, you know?
I love that. It's like turning fear into fascination and doubt into like a thirst for knowledge.
Exactly. And even if you don't resonate with every single esoteric interpretation, they can still be tools for self-reflection and growth. They challenge you to question your assumptions, examine your beliefs, tap into your own inner wisdom.
Like holding up a mirror, right?
Yeah.
Seeing ourselves reflected in these unconventional ideas.
Perfect analogy. It's about using this information as a catalyst for personal growth and transformation, not just getting stuck in fear and paranoia.
Okay, so we've explored all these fascinating, sometimes unsettling interpretations of the DNA event. What's the takeaway? What do we want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it comes down to empowerment. We have a choice in how we respond to these events, both individually and collectively.
Right, we can choose fear and despair or hope and resilience.
We can choose to feel like victims, or we can step into our power as co-creators of reality. We can cling to old paradigms of fear and separation, or we can embrace a new paradigm of love, unity, and interconnectedness.
Those are powerful choices, and they really do determine the kind of future we create, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to all you deep divers out there, keep questioning, keep seeking, keep choosing love over fear.
The journey of discovery never ends. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep exploring those mysteries of the universe, both within and without. Until next time.